a distillery who owns a distillery, the Boutique Distillery, and is a photographer, professional photographer. And during the pandemic, you actually started making hand sanitizer, didn't you, Jonny?
That's correct. That's bang on. Yep, we're in the fortunate position to be playing with high proof alcohol, which works amazingly well as a hand sanitizer when combined with a few other ingredients. So yeah, we thought we'd give it a go and give it away for free in a roundabout.
Nice.
Yeah,
Love that. So all of your customers, so
yeah,
you normally sell through my shop.
that's right. Yeah, in fact, you were the first shop to give us a leg up. Basically,
Yeah.
you stuff in the product, and then my crazy ideas to sort of take
I
us
was
off.
your first outlet.
Yeah, you were, and I remember it so well because I was a bit nervous. We were in there because we've always gone into your shop, and in fact, I brought Mum a leather lambskin sort of jerkin she was admiring in your shop, probably
I
about
remember that 7 years ago.
it's 8, yeah, a long
Yeah.
time.
No, Amy made it before she went to India.
Yeah,
I've got
and
a photographic memory.
that's awesome. Well, she still brings it over when she comes over from New Zealand now, and she wears it.
Wow.
So me and Sandra were in there back in 2019, just having a mooch around, and Rye was working in there that day. And Sandra's like, "Oh, should we ask them if they can sell it because they've got this other brand?" And then I was like, "Oh no, no, no." And she started talking to Rye, and then Rye was like, oh, he had a chat to me, and then he sent me some paperwork over, and then he tried it and loved it, and then that was it really. We've been sort of mates ever since.
Yeah. It's
They've been
brilliant.
our first outlet, which is
I
amazing.
remember when you guys came in
Yeah, so funny, eh?
and we're talking about your products and could you sell it and that you didn't have any outlets yet.
No, you were literally our first, and then it was really
Brilliant.
because then that gave us a little bit of sort of kudos to be able, and certainly for me, a bit more confidence to go and
Yeah.
say, "Oh, do you want to stock our product and stuff?" So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
thanks.
Brilliant. And people can now buy it direct from you, the Boutique Distillery,
Yeah, and they can.
and you deliver.
Yeah, well, most of our stuff was through shops and outlets and bars and hotels. Um, like we got some really good ones as well. A lot of the wedding venues I shoot at or I photograph weddings at, they take us on because they sort of know me, so that was good. So we stocked their bars with our fine gin, and then Julian Dunkerton's venues,
Yeah.
the guy that's sort of involved with Superdry, places like Gin and Juice in Cheltenham and the Lucky Onion Group, we supply them.
Yeah.
Um, we've had a distributor take us on just before the pandemic
Mm.
called InExpress, and so they're going to provide our product to a larger audience. So just from that small seed being sown with you guys, we've been able to sort of start moving out and
Love
that
that.
chance to start developing new products.
Love that. And it'll come back. It'll all come back.
Oh, I know, but unfortunately, this COVID thing just came in at the wrong flipping time.
Yeah.
And first of
Absolutely.
all, I've got to laugh at it because it's so
Yeah.
ridiculous. It
Yeah,
was,
because it's when you run a business and you've been building it, and
yeah,
then it's like you just got to cut it off. It's just like, wow, you can be a bit pissed off for a week or two, and then it's like, well, how am I going to use my time? I may as well do something useful.
well, the bonkers thing is the week before, InExpress had just taken us on as a distributor, and they love our product, so that we've really got them backing us. I'd also placed in a competition, the Food Glorious Food competition,
Yeah,
between Happily and Mid Counties Co-op. And
yeah.
so the way it works is it's a kind of a Dragon's Den style competition. So
Mm-hmm.
you enter it, and if you place in the top 10 or the top 8, you get shelf placement in the Mid Counties Co-op stores across the Cotswolds. And then from there, you pitch to the Dragons for a £10,000 investment to
Wow.
this. And so we had that coming up as well. And I
Oh,
put my pitch with my wife's cousin, Christian Billett, who's an amazing sort of voice and body coach. And
amazing.
been practicing, got all my pitch ready. and then it got shut down, and it's still happening. It's given us something to look forward to at the
Yeah,
end of.
yeah,
But it's just postponed for now. So there was that. So literally overnight, all our on-trade stuff sort of died. All the bars and hotels, restaurants, etc.
yeah,
And so I sort of thought, right, all the product I had ready to go into the supermarket, I need to be able to sell it just to keep
yeah,
the doors open and put food on the table.
yeah,
So what I decided to do is to set up my online shop on the
yeah.
website, and then I could sell my gin, do free delivery anywhere. Well, it started off free delivery in Gloucester and Cheltenham, and I would include a free hand sanitizer, that's the sort of ones we've got there.
Nice.
Sanitizer,
Classy.
little spray bottle. It's pretty cool.
Classy.
And I'd deliver that anywhere in Gloucester or Cheltenham. And then it was quite popular, so I just extended it to the whole of the UK. So every now
Brilliant.
I go up to the post office with all the boxes, and we ship it out far and wide. And
Brilliant.
what I wanted to do is sell the gin, and then with every bottle of gin, I'm giving away a free sanitizer and free delivery, and 10% of any money made is going to the NHS and the Air Ambulance Trust.
Brilliant.
Because we don't want to profiteer off it, and
Yeah.
it's just giving back.
It's okay to be commercial as well.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant that you're giving a donation. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's important to us. I mean, they've helped us out numerous times. So
Yeah.
they're under so much pressure at the moment, and I wanted to include the Air Ambulance with it as well, because they probably don't get enough recognition.
So at the end of this conversation, I will drop a link in the comments with your online shop so that people can order your gin. Which,
they can still order it through you guys as well.
Yeah, you can order it through our online shop as well. Yeah,
it's brilliant.
Yeah. So you came here from New Zealand.
Yes, I did. I
didn't realise until this morning that you arrived with just a suitcase and £500.
Yeah, I thought New Zealand 20 years ago was quite cheap.
Yes.
And go a long way with like $1,000.
Yes.
I was coming over here to do a bit of travelling, and I've got family in Bristol on my dad's side. My dad served in the Gloucestershire Regiment over in Cyprus, Aden and Kenya.
Okay.
And I'd come over in the 80s on holiday. And anyway, back in 2000, I decided to come over, see my family, do a bit of travelling. I was mad on photography, so I wanted to travel, take pictures and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I thought £500 would be enough. Got my suitcase, came over, and crashed at my cousin's house, which turned out to be for 9 months. I had dual citizenship, so it was fine. I had a British passport. And I was staying with my cousins, and £500 didn't get you far at all.
Yeah.
So I went to a job centre. I think it was in Baldwin Street or something in Bristol. Went to the job centre, got a job on Avonmouth Docks at a scrap metal yard, Sims Metals. Wow. And I used to sit in the shack up on stilts, and these conveyor belts would whiz along, and I had to throw paper down, I think it was rubber down one chute, plastic down another, and let the copper carry on, because they wanted to recover all the copper.
Wow.
And go through a mill and stuff like that and get sorted. And every now and then, because people used to bring scrap metal in it, and occasionally there'd be a gas bottle in the trunk of a car, and it would go through the mill, and there'd be this God Almighty boom, and everything would come to a standstill, and there would be dust everywhere, and there would be a massive explosion. It would blow the curtains. These big rubber curtains would come flying off the mill, and the engineers would have to get over it and sort it out. But I used to come home just covered in this black rubber residue. It was awful. And then I used to get the train in, and I remember there was this guy I used to talk to at the train station, and he worked as a lackey in an engineering firm. My engineering. I did an apprenticeship in engineering years before. And so he got me a foot in the door there, and then I worked for another engineering company, and then after that I retrained as a plumber and heating engineer when I moved to Gloucester, because that's right, I'd been out for a weekend, bank holiday weekend, and I'd met some girls that had been backpacking around Thailand, Australia, and New Zealand. And I'm married to one of them now, Sandra, who's my wife.
Really.
It's so funny. And yeah, it's just so funny how it all came together. And she had said to me, "Oh, I don't want to live in Bristol. You know, you should come to Gloucester." And I was like, "Oh," but I needed to get out of engineering because
Yeah.
I was a contractor, and all the contract work kept drying up.
Yeah.
So she phoned around, and oh, that's right. At the time, I had to redo my driving license because I had an international license that had expired,
Yeah.
and I had bad habits. So back in the day, I used to smoke. So I'd have a drink between my knees. I'd be driving and rolling a cigarette, and so I had to have a couple of driving lessons to up
Yeah,
my.
you would do.
And Sandra had arranged for me to have a couple of lessons with this lady, and she only took me out the once. She wouldn't take me again. I ruined her, right?
Was it because of the drink between your knees or because you're rolling a cigarette while you're driving?
Me, okay, pull over here and do a turn in the road. So I whizzed the car up someone's driveway, reversed out, and drove back down the road again. Because you could do that in New Zealand, but apparently, so
Apparently not here.
it was hilarious. And then I moved to Gloucester, and then I retrained as a plumber and heating engineer. But I still love photography, and so ultimately I wanted to sort of move towards there. So I had my own plumbing and heating business for about 7 years, and then I sort of moved in more into photography, a lot of stock and advertising photography.
Yeah, you are a very good photographer.
I still do a lot of it now. I've been fortunate to travel the world shooting amazing weddings and stuff like that. Even here in Gloucestershire in the Cotswolds, I do an awful lot here now, and I've won.
Photography is very good, I think.
Well, I've won a lot of a number of international awards for it, and local as well. So I take it pretty serious, and I have a lot of fun. And it's quite artsy. It's not standard wedding photography, it's a bit quirky.
I loved this photograph that you posted of this couple after their wedding.
What one?
And you said, "Does this guy look like the happiest guy in the world?"
Yeah, it was hilarious. She's just
beautiful
in the back of their wedding car.
Yeah,
beautiful. Funny was on the morning of the wedding, when she stepped out of her dad's Range Rover and her foot hit the ground, her garter came down and got caught around her ankle. It was brilliant. And so I just reached in and got the shot of this garter in the mud wrapped around her stiletto. And it's brilliant. I love that shot.
Nice.
But that was after the wedding. They got back in the car and she's just given him such a squeeze. And she's stunning. And he just looked like he was the cat that got the cream, eh?
Yeah, such a lovely image.
Yeah.
It's capturing those moments, isn't it?
Totally. You can, as a photojournalist, it's just documenting stories. So a lot of stuff isn't staged; it's just as it happens. But the thing is, your senses are so heightened, and you're just watching for it, and you've almost got a sixth sense, like reading into a situation, and you can almost see something going to happen. And so you for it, and then as it starts, this moment starts building. You just start shooting, and you shoot through the moment, and so you get sort of the build up, the moment, and then the after. And usually one of them shots somewhere in the middle is like the keeper, and it can just be just a glint in someone's eye, or the way something, or a little smirk of a lip, or something like thing. But it can make or break it, eh?
Yeah.
I did a lot of photography, and I'm still doing it. But then I kind of going back to I suppose so shooting a lot of photography. And then I was at a photography convention in Budapest in the early part of 2019. And there's a lot of international photographers there, like really good ones from, it's a group called Fearless Photographers, and I'm one of their photographers. So there was about 180 of us in one of the ruin bars in Budapest. And no one had ever really seen anyone before. And so we're all excited. We're all drinking like flipping fish. And I'd had that much beer, I couldn't fit any more in. And but the night was still young. So I was at the bar, and there's another photographer there, this girl. And she had like this big bowl glass, and it was cold and misty on the outside, and it had cucumber in it. And I was just like, oh, I can't drink any more beer. And she was like, oh, have some of this. I said, what is it? And she said, gin. And I was like, because I remember like Nana's gin was
Yeah.
like, and the one in the blue Bombay Sapphire or Gordon's or something. I was like, oh. Anyway, the cucumber intrigued me because I'm a sucker for cucumber, and I tried it. And I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. So that was me. It was a Hendrix with cucumber, and that turned me on to gin. So
Right.
I go back to the UK. I'm shooting all these weddings, and all of a sudden, I start seeing all these gins, all these craft gins, and I was like, hold on. I thought distilling in the UK was illegal. Now, bear in mind, I had an engineering background.
Yeah.
Do a lot of stuff for the Ministry of Defence,
Yeah.
New Zealand, like special projects and stuff.
Yeah.
And when I was an apprentice, there was a guy in the village, and he used to get me to make these bits for him out of copper, and pay me pocket money on the side, bit of cash here. And I never knew kind of what it was. And eventually he sort of said to me, oh, I'm building a still for making whiskey. And I was like, eh? And I was only 19. I was like, what are you on about? And he said, I'll come over and I'll show you. So I went to his house, and out in his shed, he had this big bucket of like this corn fermenting. And he said, and there was this thing, and because I'd only made it in bits, all of a sudden I'm looking across the room, seeing all the bits I'd made assembled into this big tower. And I was thinking, what the heck is that? And he said, oh, that's the still. And I said, so how does it all work? He said, basically, you ferment the grain, you put it into the still, and whiskey comes out. And I was just like, because I mean, you know, below the drinking age and all that. So I built my first still when I was 19, and made my first batch of whiskey, and sort of had a little dabble with some rum, and sort of that was it. So I knew how to make the stuff and to build the still. So anyway, as a knock-on effect of this visit to Budapest, I came back, seen all these craft gins, and thought legal in the UK. So then I contacted HMRC, found they relaxed the laws. I think it was 2010 or something like that, and you could get a home distiller's license. But I needed a commercial one, so I spent the next 6 months jumping through loads of hoops, paying lots of money to be able to do that. And then I built another still, set up the distillery, and because I knew I could make a really good base spirit, is what I used to use for making whiskey. And then I started making running gin, and it turned out the gin that was coming out was sensational, and it got a lot of good reviews from the UK, Germany. Funnily enough, they're mad for it. I got some real good followers there, Holland as well, and Sweden, and yeah, it just really sort of took off from there. And now I'm expanding the range into rum, pink gin. And I'm playing around at the moment with an alcohol-free distillate.
Yes, I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, well, Sandra is as well, because she loves it. So basically it's using the same process that I use for making whiskey, gin, rum, whatever. And I run it through my copper still. And I end up with a distillate that's got no alcohol in it. That you with your favorite mixer, like you can have it with a Fever Tree mixer, you can garnish it, you can do what you want with it. The stills I make, they're my own design. They're the only ones of their kind in the world, and it's based.
Do you use recycled copper?
Yeah, absolutely. Upcycle everything. So my 50-litre one I built out of an old beer keg, stainless steel beer keg.
Amazing.
With an immersion heater. Tri-clamp fittings and whatnot, built the copper tower, the condenser, gin basket, everything. And so, yeah, it's something I've always done. It's something I enjoy doing anyway.
Amazing.
The bottle rinser. I mean, all our stuff, we meet SALSA, which is like one of the highest certifications for food processing and manufacturing. So things like a bottle rinser. So I built a jet-powered bottle rinser.
Wow.
So you grab a bottle, push it over it, and it fires a jet of water inside of it. It's super high pressure, and it just rinses everything out of it that shouldn't be in there right before it goes filling. So, yeah. So
amazing.
And it's all powered, all our stills. And in fact, all the power on site here is from 100% renewable. So wind and sun. Yeah, doing our
Brilliant. I love that. I love that you build your own still, all from upcycled materials,
Yeah.
and that you use all renewable energy. And I never knew any of this. Even
Oh,
though I know you, I've been to your house, I sell your gin in my shop. I didn't know
oh.
this.
Well, it's like just anything like that. I mean, we only make small batches. There's
Yeah.
80 bottles in a batch. I mean, this one here, that we're on batch 7 now, and
Are
that's
you?
bottle number 16.
I remember batch one. So each bottle is numbered with the bottle number and the
Absolutely.
batch number by hand.
Yeah, they're all batch. Yeah, all batch and bottle numbered by hand, and we need that for traceability for
Mhm.
our certification. So if ever there's a problem, we know where all our stock's gone,
Yeah.
and so you know exactly where it's gone. So I can look through our records, and I know that Rye's got batch 4 bottles, say 22 to 64.
Yeah.
And then if I need a recalling of it, I can look it up and I know exactly where it's gone.
Yeah.
All of the ingredients that go into it they're fully traceable, so I know where all the berries have come from, all the way back to the source. So yeah, we can if one of our suppliers turn around and say, "Oh, those juniper berries we sent you aren't quite right. We need to recall them." I then know what batches, like
Exactly which bottles they were in. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a safety thing.
Yeah.
Even the water that goes into it, I go up to the Malvern Hills. I tried water for, believe it or not, I learnt this when I was making whiskey, that water can affect the flavour of a spirit massively.
Yeah.
Uh,
I imagine because the water where I live does not taste great, to be honest.
but it can, a lot of things come into it, like the hardness and the softness of it,
Mm-hmm.
and different flavours of what it filters through.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of distilleries will use tap water, and then they'll run it, say, through a filter or reverse osmosis, which is fine. But I think you lose a lot of flavour from the water.
Yeah.
Now, go to some of the Scottish distilleries, their water is under lock and key, and if you get within 100 yards, you'll probably get shot.
Huh.
They're protective of it because it plays such a massive part.
Yeah.
So tried water from Scotland, Yorkshire, Wales, and the Malverns, which is 10 miles from us. And the Malvern water just was so good. It just worked really well with our distillate.
Oh.
So I go up there to Holywell, and the guys up there at the water plant, they sort of fill our containers for us, and that's what I do
Wow.
the test for it with. And it's really good to use local, producers and other local businesses.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the traceability and the yeah, the using local suppliers. I love all that, obviously, because that's what I've
Oh,
built my career on.
and we get a lot more of that too, I think, especially at the moment, because if
Yeah.
you look at like all the local producers that are coming forward, and there's such an amazing bunch of people out there, whether
Yeah.
it be cheese producers, milk producers. I mean, crikey, by us and by a wedding venue I shoot at down at Elmore
Yeah.
Court, got Holy Cow, and you can go down there and fill up your milk bottles in their milk machine, and they do
Yeah.
a gelato there as well.
Nice.
Local restaurants through Gloucester and whatnot. But
Nice.
just little things like that, There's
Yeah.
chocolate. There's me. You got Stroud Brewery down the road that do amazing
Yeah.
beers as well. In
Yeah.
fact, one of my favourite beers come out of there, Budding. It's like,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We sell a lot of that.
yeah, it's.
Our shelf's getting quite empty at the moment with our online shop. Yeah.
I know that. Sorry.
So I was just going to say, you use 11 botanicals in your gin. So obviously some of those are secret.
Botanicals.
But what? Obviously, you're not going to tell us what all 11 are because it's a secret recipe. But what are some of the botanicals that you use? How many? 13. 13 botanicals.
Oh yeah, I don't mind telling you if I can remember them off the top of my head. I don't.
Okay.
It's the combination, and it's what part. Like they don't all go in at the same time because different botanicals have different strengths, and some can overpower others. And there's different ways of doing them. I mean, some people will put everything into a boiler, and they'll boil it up, and they'll end up with the steam coming off, or the alcohol vapor coming off, and when it condenses, that's their gin.
Yeah.
But I sort of split mine up into sections. So
Mm-hmm.
some of it goes into the boiler and macerates. Others go into something else. So as the vapor passes through it, it
Okay.
gently lifts the essential oils out.
Okay.
And that way it just gives them a subtlety.
Yeah.
Uh, then some others go into a thing called a thumper, or a doubler, and then they're given a bit more of a harsher process to try and pull a bit more of that out.
Okay.
So it's just it's a real fine balancing thing. So my still's got about 4 stages on it, but it's over. Well, it sounds overcomplicated, but it's like, second nature for me, I suppose. So yeah.
It sounds to me, it sounds passionate. Like you've
Uh,
really taken the time to understand all of the different flavours, how best to extract them. Like you say, you could just put them in a thing and boil them up, but then it would just, you don't get the subtlety, do you?
well, the thing is that if it's a big commercial concern, then it's easier to do that. You either put everything in and macerate it in the boiler and boil it. You essentially put everything in like a big tea bag, and
Yeah.
then you chuck it in the boiler. You heat it up in ethanol or grain spirit, whatever, essentially vodka,
Mm-hmm.
and the vapor that comes off tastes like gin. And as long as it's juniper predominant, you get the heads of juniper, then you can, it's sort of gin. It's a proper gin.
Yeah.
Um, but then commercially, that's viable because it's a cheaper way to do it.
Yeah.
But I think passionate's probably thrown around a bit too much now. Everyone's
Yeah.
passionate about something. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm bloody obsessed, You know, so I sort of take it to another level. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with passion. Let's say that.
So
But
what are they? There's juniper, rosemary.
for it to be gin, it really does need to have a good whack of juniper in there, which is a
Yeah.
nice piney note. So yeah, definitely juniper in there. I use really good juniper that comes from around sort of Croatia,
Okay.
Macedonia. It's sort of that region that produces really good juniper berries. So I use fresh juniper berries. There's fennel, there's cardamom, there's cassia bark. There's what's that flipping flower? Like a little yellow daisy, chamomile.
Yeah.
Yeah, chamomile flowers, lavender, hibiscus. We use a plant in New Zealand, feijoa, which is related to a guava, and us Kiwis are addicted to them. It's just like they look like a green egg.
Okay.
But we've been making like gin, making vodka with it for years. And so I grow some of the trees on site here at the distillery. And so I take the leaves and I put that in our gin as well, which gives it a
Amazing.
certain kind of mouthfeel and a mellowness. It's got coriander seeds in it as well, angelica bark, angelica root, orris root, which help tie flavors together as well. There's a fair bit that go into it. I could get away with less in it,
Yeah.
but then give me the product I wanted at the
Yeah.
end. And I
Yeah.
sort of set out to make a gin that I could be the best gin I could make to my ability.
Yeah.
And it would take a lot of tweaking to get it there, but it would be something I'd be happy with and that I'd be happy putting our name to.
Yes.
And the cost came second. And I think, it's probably not the cheapest, but to be honest, it's about £5 more than what you'd pay for commercial branded gin.
Yeah.
And there's loads of love and heart gone into this. We're not just in it to make the money. It's because, we love to do. And we love gin.
And it costs more to make a premium product.
Yeah.
And certainly our customers are really happy and in a position to pay more and love supporting artisan producers.
Yeah. Well, we're like artisan and craft is in the true sense. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as I know, and I've done a lot of research into it, we're the only distillery in the UK that builds its own stills
Amazing.
from recycled materials. I mean, most stills come from China. 90%
Yeah.
of UK stills come from essentially three places, at three machine works in China. And the only thing that sets them apart from anyone else is the branding or the words that go
Yeah.
onto the still. And the botanicals. Now, most of them use the same botanicals in the same still and end
Yeah.
up with a similar tasting product to what each other has.
Yeah.
I think if the configuration of a still can change the flavour. I mean, so much. So, with regards to whiskey, you want a lot of flavour in there. So you use a pot still, which has got a really short column on it, and
Right.
so there's not too much distillation or separation of like the alcohol from the water. So
Uh-huh.
you a lot of that flavor over into your finished product. Whereas with vodka, you want a real clean tasting vodka with not a lot of a real clean vodka with not a lot of taste in it, essentially.
Yeah.
So you high column,
Right.
so the alcohol vapor has to go further, and as it's traveling further in height, a lot of the contaminants from the water is falling out of it
Yeah.
back in the boiler, so you end up with a cleaner product.
Yeah.
So that's just a simple way of saying, how a still's configuration can change
Yeah.
flavour.
And those subtleties are what sets your product apart
Oh,
from
yeah.
a supermarket gin, for example.
Yeah, totally. I mean, a lot of supermarket gins or commercial ones, the price point is what they're after. They've
Yeah.
got keep happy and all that. So
Yeah, it's like units on shelves,
yeah,
and
so a lot of stuff's made with flavorings. You can essentially get a grain spirit or an ethanol, and you could flavor it. You could run it through the still with your botanicals in there, and then if you wanted more juniper in there, you could add a juniper flavoring.
right.
And you could boost that, and you could knock it out for like 20 quid a bottle or something like that. Or you could produce it in volume, because then your grain spirit becomes cheaper, your botanicals become cheaper. If you're producing like 10,000 litres in a run or something like that. But for me, I'm producing about 50 litres in a run.
Yeah.
That's like...
It's like the difference between cheap instant coffee and really
yeah.
filter coffee.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
see, I love if I can make something, I'll make it. So I love really good coffee. So I found a place online where I could buy the green beans from, a place in London, and I bought a little antique coffee roaster off eBay. It looks like a little paint tin on its side. On this thing, fit it on my barbecue, fill it with coffee beans, and I crank the handle, and it takes about 18 minutes to roast the beans. And then I stand there with a colander tipping it through the air like that for all the chaff to blow out. And then I'm left with really good coffee. And there's a difference between that and a thing of instant coffee,
Yeah.
I wouldn't sell the stuff I make because, no one would pay it because it costs too much to make because, I'm playing with coffee. And the same goes for the gin, If a commercial producer made it for me, then it would halve the price, but
it wouldn't be the same product at all.
Oh no, totally not. No.
And then at the end, you actually wax the stoppers.
Yeah, so I put the little stoppers in. There's some videos on my Instagram feed.
I've seen of you dipping them in wax. So satisfying.
Yeah, and it's the waxing. So I had the wax made to match the labels, and I've got a little wax heater, and so I kind of dip everyone in, and then I've got to turn it like that, dip it into a glass of iced water because then it gives a shiny finish to the wax.
Okay.
And that's the process. I don't need to dip it into ice water, but I like it shiny rather than
and it's all those details.
Yeah.
All the details and all the thought and time that goes into making a really pleasing product.
Oh, it does. I spend so much time on it. I mean, yesterday, I'm working on a rum at the moment, and I want a rum that you don't need to mix with Coke or anything. It needs to be. So even with our gin, if you have a commercial gin and you try it neat, it might be a bit scratchy on the back of the throat.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And that's because a lot of things come into it, but what I do is... So when you produce a commercial gin, because you've got a price point you're trying to meet, gin comes out, or spirits, and a spirit run comes out in sections. So you've got heads and 4 shots up here. Oh, the screen's back to front. You've
Yeah.
got.
I know, I find it really confusing.
Funny, isn't it? I'm
Yeah.
trying to get.
I sort of go to move my hair and it's on the wrong side, for example.
I'll go like this. I won't move out of the screen. You've got heads and 4 shots up here.
Yeah.
And then you've got hearts, all the really good stuff in the middle. And then you've got the tails on the end.
Yeah.
So heads and 4 shots are the bits you want to sort of throw out because there's different compounds in there. Like that's where your methanol is.
Yeah.
You've got different esters in there, things like acetone and stuff, which you don't want to be drinking. So from the spirit run, you throw that out. And then you got the hearts and the tails. So I think commercial distilleries, their cuts are probably a bit wider.
Yeah.
So there might be some more 4 shots or more heads in there.
Yeah.
And they've probably got a few more tails in there.
Yeah.
Whereas I'll take the hearts and I'll make the hearts quite narrow.
Yeah.
And so you can drink the spirit neat and it's got no burn to it whatsoever. It's like super duper clean now.
Yeah.
And the same thing is with the rum now. Sandra likes her gin with ice, so she'll drink it neat. Just a shot of gin with some ice and she'll sip it. And I think sipping, if something's sippable, the quality's there. So I'm working on a rum that'll do the same because I like rum. And then yesterday, I'm going to post a little video of it when I finished it. But I had a load of hibiscus flowers, dried hibiscus flowers. I use it as a botanical in our gin distillation. And then I wanted to make like a hibiscus syrup. So I worked on that yesterday because I want something to work with a cocktail I'm going to make for our rum when it's ready. And oh God, it tastes so good. I was eating the hibiscus flowers yesterday.
Nice.
So good. So yeah, it's always developed.
This non-alcoholic.
Yeah, the non-alcoholic.
What would you call that? A non-alcoholic.
It's going to be non-alcoholic distillate because
a distillate.
Yeah, because then it gives it something. It doesn't take away anything from what it is because it's made through the distillation process. To get the flavors across, because when you're making, say, gin, for example, the alcohol or the ethanol pulls the flavors out of the herbs and spices and botanicals put in there. Whereas when you're using a non-alcoholic distillate and you're using water, it's harder to get all those flavor notes out of there and those compounds. Yeah. So you need to put damn near twice as many botanicals in there as what you would into a spirit.
Yeah.
Pull the flavor across, but then you don't get all of them out. So then you're trying to substitute them with other bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. So one thing is when you drink alcohol, you get a little a mouthfeel, like a little burn of the alcohol, the spirit. So I found a way that I can sort of replicate that without using alcohol. And it's just little things like that. And instead of using Angelica and Orris that I would use making gin to marry flavors together, I've had to find other things.
Right.
Like back through some pretty weird old Edwardian sort of literature that would kind of work in a similar kind of way.
So exciting. I'm so excited about this drink.
Pretty funny. It's I made some and I was smelling it and I was like, I hadn't smelled anything like it before. And I tried it neat and I was like, it's all right, actually. And then I put it with a tonic and I was like, oh my God, that's actually quite good. So then I gave it to Sandra and she tried it. And she's not really a drinker anyway. She tried it and she was like, oh, actually, that's really good. I prefer it to gin. And I was like, no.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's good to see it pass a taste test. I mean, if you work on it, and it'll be fine. And I was hoping to launch that this year by now, but because of what's going on and guys that print our labels and stuff like that, they're working those stuff.
This is the thing; it's the supply chain, isn't it? It's really hard to.
Supply chain's taken a hammering. I mean, it's okay if I'm doing a knock and drop locally to deliver our products for free. That's one thing. But then I had to send some stuff up to sort of London way the other day, Henley-on-Thames way.
Yeah.
And that usually it would be there the next day. And it took like 7 or 8 days.
Yeah.
And, I had the client sort of emailing going, is that sent yet? And I was like, it'll be on its way. It's on its way. You'll for it. So things like postage and all that are on the go slow.
Yeah, because the post office are completely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because as well as having people off sick, obviously, like that's our main way of buying stuff and selling stuff now. Like
Yeah.
we all of us small shops in town who are doing online sales, we
Yeah.
take stuff to our little post office every day. Poor guys, they're overwhelmed.
I know. I'm the same. We've got a little post office up the road in Brockworth, and they're just so good there. You know,
They're so lovely, post office people.
was going to go up today and post some stuff off because I've got some orders. But the thing is, it's raining, and then I'll be standing there with my parcels outside in the line.
In the distance queue.
Not going to work, hey?
Yeah.
You know. But it's certainly a sign of the times, and I think there'll be more of this happening. I think more people shop online. It's a time for us small producers like myself and like you guys as well, to up your online shop game. And I know you guys have been working really hard at it.
Yeah, it's a time when
dialed in.
you've got a business, you do not want to be missing out on building your online presence at the moment.
Oh yeah, it's a huge opportunity.
Huge opportunity, yeah.
Well, I tried doing some Facebook ads the other day, and it's quite funny. Well, not funny, but funny. And I went to the back end, and I was like doing my Facebook ad, and then I looked at the demographical reach, and it was 30 million people, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to sell millions. I had 2 sales off it, and I was like, that doesn't make sense.
No.
I'm on a Facebook group for food producers, and someone had been talking about Facebook ads and what they spend on it, and someone was spending like £15,000 a month on Facebook ads, but the revenue they were getting in just outweighed it.
Right.
Like, that's 15 grand. Where does anyone find 15 grand?
Yeah.
You know. And I was sort of picking someone's brains, and this girl on there said to me, you know, I can give you 10 minutes for free if you want, and I can talk to you and have a look at what you're doing wrong. And I was like, oh yeah, I'd love that. So we scheduled in a Zoom meeting. I had a chat with her, and she's really lovely. And she had qualified, I think, sort of 6-7 months ago as a advertising type person for setting up social media things through Facebook.
Wow.
Qualification. And she said, look, I really love what you're doing with your product and what you're trying to do, what your aspirations are, and I need to do some case studies, and I'd love you to be one. And so I was like, oh my god. So
cool.
She's given me a really good deal, and so she's working on that. I've got to give her some content, so I've been filming and photographing like an idiot.
Brilliant.
These product shots and films together, so she's got content.
I wondered what all those lovely product shots and films were about.
Yeah.
Really good. They're really good.
You're going to be inundated with them, eh?
Yeah.
It's just really because I'm usually so busy.
Yes.
Because I've now got time, I can produce content, and I've got all the really good filmmaking, photography, and amazing light I'm working with today.
Yeah.
I've got all this stuff here anyway. I may as well use it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the conclusion I've come to. Like, I may as well just use this time. And Rye's like in the shop all day, every day, photographing products. I think he's got like 1,300 products on the online shop now.
It's flipping legend.
We sold that many products.
Oh, your thing the other day, it's what was it? It's over 600% increase in online activity for your shop. That's amazing.
So this week it's 777% increase in sales since lockdown.
It's fantastic, eh?
Yeah. Really cool.
Well, I think a lot of things are going to sort of go this way, and moving forward, I think people are going to embrace the whole local thing and look more towards local producers for the stuff they want.
I hope so.
Yeah, I do, and I think it's. I just feel just really happy that everyone's sort of chipping in around us and supporting us.
And me, it's really moving that.
Yeah.
Really moving the way that people support us because they don't have to. And when I go around doing deliveries most evenings, I only do 4 or 5 an evening, and travel all around the district, I guess.
Yeah.
And I just meet all these people and see their homes, and just that they've gone to the trouble to order from us.
Well, see, I had one the other day. This lady had ordered a bottle of gin, and she ordered two. She ordered one for someone, so I just dropped it off to her, and the other one was for a friend of hers, and that was about 2 miles away from where we're based. And so I went over there, and I sort of turned up, and it was a surprise. This girl didn't even know her friend had bought her this little care package, and it was so sweet because I sort of walked through the gate. There was like toys everywhere in the front yard, and I could see this lady looking out the window, like, and she'd probably been
Knocking at my door. Yeah.
got careful, I'm trying to homeschool.
Yeah. And it's social distancing. What are you doing here? Yeah.
I had my gloves on. I put sanitizer over the top of my gloves as well. So I went up there, put them on the doorstep, gave her a knock. She opened the door. I sort of stood back, and she's like looking at me, and I says, "Oh, got a present." And she's like, "Hey, what? Who from?" And I told her, I said, "Oh, one of your friends bought you a little care package last night online." And she was her face was just beaming, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, that one of her friends had thought of her and given her a nice...
I've had that a lot. People buying gifts for people who live in this area. And when I deliver them, people are like, "Who's that person at my door? Nobody should be knocking, social distancing." And I do the same. I knock at the door, put the package by the door, and then I walk away to the end of the path. And then I explain what it is when they open the door, and they're just so delighted that somebody's thought of them.
Just a look on their face when they sort of realize, it just makes their day.
So lovely, because it's a hard time.
Yeah.
And everyone is struggling. Everyone's struggling with something. Some people are struggling with having too much work, too stressed at work, working for the essential services, being at risk. Some people are working from home and have really poor systems to contend with.
Yeah.
Some people are trying to work from home and homeschool, for God's sake.
Yeah.
People who've got kids have no space People who are carers have no space ever. So like, we're quite lucky that our only problem is how to keep our little businesses ticking over, I think.
Yeah, and the thing is, no matter how bad it is, there's always someone sort of having a worse time of it.
Much worse off. Yeah, and absolutely.
A couple, really lovely couple. Now, she phoned up a couple of months back. They were getting married, and this is before all this happened, about a month before actually. And I was having a chat with her, and this girl was just so upbeat and bright and bubbly, and we had a real connection. I just thought, oh, this is my sort of couple, I love people like this. And then she said to me, we're going to have the wedding. It's down at Berkeley Castle, which is an amazing venue.
Yes.
All the time. And she said she had just finished treatment for cancer.
Wow.
And as she finished, they found out her fiance had cancer as well. Oh. And I was like, oh my God. And they wanted to get married, and they were getting married in July. And I was like, absolutely, I want to help them out. So, sort of a little thing up, a little package up for them.
Yes.
And then when all this happened, they phoned back, and they said, we're going to postpone it till later in the year now. He's unable to go in for his treatment, so they want to have it, sooner rather than later. And they figure September things might be relaxed, and they can have their little, just all this. And I was just thinking, flipping it, they just sound like two of the most nicest people in the world, and they're doing this, and the whole time they're just so upbeat about it. And
right.
And then you just sort of come off the phone and you think, well,
what was I worrying about?
Yeah. And think, on the grander scale of things, my problems aren't as big as what theirs are.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Absolutely, because a lot of people are not having treatments that they ought to be having at the moment. Yeah.
I mean, it's it's certainly hard out there, right? So
it's tough out there.
Grander scale of things, our photography and filmmaking business around the weddings literally died overnight.
Yes.
And it's just, once again, I was like, what can I do about it?
Yeah,
Don't
right.
worry about it.
Yeah,
And, it's just a blessing in disguise. It's let me concentrate more on
yeah,
developing new products, and building my online shop. Because ultimately, I'm going to move out of the photography side of things because it's real hard going, on
yeah,
the bottom as well. And I mean, I'm 50 this year. Jeez. Uh,
yeah.
so, and eventually,
I'm 50 this year too.
where I want things to end up, and that's going to be my swan song.
Right. I'm not 50 this year. I just
uh,
said I'm 50 this year too. I'm not.
the
I'm 57 this year.
40th, isn't it?
My 40th, yeah. Um, so sourdough.
Yes,
Big
sourdough.
thing in lockdown is sourdough. Now you were doing this already, weren't you?
Yeah, so like you've probably got the feel of me now. I love doing stuff from scratch,
Yeah,
and I've always been a sucker for good bread. I had a bread machine, and I wasn't happy with the flour, and there's loads of stuff, and so I wanted to start using organic flours and
yeah,
fermentation and things like that, which you're just not going to get from a bread machine.
yeah,
I think there's probably a lot of trace pesticides and a lot of flours out there.
yeah.
Um, Something I'm just absolutely against. Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so I sort of there's a cafe I go to in Cheltenham which makes a really good sourdough, and a place called Baker and Gray's. They do amazing donuts too. If you've
Oh,
ever there,
I've been there.
so good. That's my guilty pleasure. That place.
Nice.
And I was chatting to the baker there about their sourdough, and he said, "Oh, we make our own. We've got a starter." And I said, "Oh, can I have some of the starter?" And he's like, "Oh." And after probably 6 months, he kind of gave in, but I had to swap him a bottle of good moonshine whiskey. And so, yeah, he gave me his some of his sourdough. I gave him a bottle of really good whiskey. And I've had that for about 2 years now. And at the time, their starter was something like 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got it. It lives in the fridge in a jar, and I make sourdough sort of every day or every 2 days, and yeah, we get through it pretty quick.
So
So,
you gave me your sourdough recipe. So I will photograph that and put it in the comments, your sourdough recipe, shall I?
so I could, because I made a video on, because one thing people can't get at the moment is yeast.
Yes.
Uh, so I you don't need yeast to make sourdough. I made a video on how to make
Really?
so I'll
Could we put it on my YouTube channel?
Yeah, should I'll what I might do is make a YouTube channel today,
Yeah.
upload the sourdough film. It's only 30 minutes long. I
Yeah.
try and keep it quite engaging as well. There's a few little quirks in there,
Yeah.
but you'll make your own starter from scratch, your own dough. You'll learn how to form it and how to do your first bake, and you'll
Amazing.
end up with a banging loaf of sourdough. And it's been really good. I posted it on Facebook, and a few people have been sort of sharing their loaves with me now, so I'm getting to see all these little loaves people have been making from my recipe, which is
I
like
had really good success yesterday making a fruit loaf with honey, cinnamon,
amazing.
um, maple syrup, jumbo raisins. Lovely.
Love maple syrup. I could drink it.
Oh, food of the gods.
It so is. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the best loaf. I took 3 slices to my neighbour across the way who quite often cooks me
Yeah.
vegan food and drops it off.
Oh yeah.
So I took her and her daughter's some, and I've got the rest of it here. It's like that much, to drop off outside your gate later.
Serious.
On my way to my mum's because it's her birthday.
Your mum's the 80th, isn't it?
My mum's 80th, yeah. Happy
Oh, yeah.
birthday, mum.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
How's she getting on with all this?
She's great. She self-isolated 2 weeks before lockdown.
Yeah.
She registered for online shopping with 2 supermarkets and with Milk or More.
Yeah, brilliant.
She does online Zoom exercise class, which she used to go to an exercise class, so they put that onto Zoom. So
Yeah.
I actually taught her through setting up Zoom on her laptop
Yeah.
on FaceTime. It
Oh,
took us half
that's
an hour. It took us half an hour. But
yeah.
got it now. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, eh?
Yeah.
My mum's doing that. She went and she's in New Zealand, and they went into lockdown like pretty much before everyone, I think. Uh,
Yes.
and so she's been in lockdown now for maybe 6 weeks or
Wow.
something.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, she's fine. I don't want to try and guess her age in case she slaps me, but which probably won't happen this year. She's meant to be coming over in September, but I think because of the whole travel thing, I think that'll probably be unlikely. So she'll come over next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's good. My sister's doing food drop-offs to her. She
Yeah.
lives like a little estate, a little private gated estate.
Yeah.
So her friends across the road in New Zealand, they've got bubbles. So you have like a couple of family members or a couple of friends that don't move outside their bubble, so you can still socialize
I
with your
think
best.
that's going to be the next thing here.
Yeah, yeah. It's some of our best friends. It's a shame, really, because some of our best friends, Jer and Chris, he's a key worker, and so he's mixing it all the time. So it's hard,
Yeah. So he's unable to.
yeah,
Yeah.
have them in our bubble because of that, which is a shame because you just
Yeah.
want to a big flipping cuddle, you know.
Yeah. I know.
Uh,
I know. I haven't hugged anyone for like a month.
I know
Well,
it's weird.
it's ridiculous.
I know it's so crazy. It's
Some
just.
of, some of my kids I haven't even seen.
Well, I tell you what, I really don't mind it. Lockdowns. I quite like it, to be
I,
fair.
to be honest, I worry about getting used to it.
Yeah, I want to see my friends and I want to go to the
Yeah.
pub, see
I
my
do. I'm
friends.
used to it now, and I don't mind it. But that kind of worries me because I don't think it's a natural state.
No, 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 no,
But
no.
obviously, we're very adaptable, more adaptable than we'd imagined.
Yeah, I think probably because there's a good reason behind it. If people tried to get us to stay in and there wasn't that reason there, I think there'd be, me.
Violence.
Yeah, I wouldn't be sitting still for 5 minutes. If I
Yeah,
could do something and get away with it, I would.
yeah,
But
same, same.
unfortunately, with us, I don't like the consequence.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
trying to stay away, hunkered down, cough free, and just
yeah,
play around the lab. And then,
exactly. Oh,
but we're doing pub quizzes with our friends, a little group. We've started meeting on a Sunday, so we have a few drinks and a pub quiz, which is a lot of fun. It's quite good. I made I
nice.
made questions. It's really funny. I made the questions up the other day for our one for me and Sandra. But one of them was because all of it's like English stuff, and I don't know a lot about 80s English stuff, but I put a few New Zealand ones in. And a funny little fact is, the grammar school I went to in New Zealand, Russell Crowe used to go there. He's a Kiwi, yeah. And then he left and went to Australia in his early sort of teens. But he had a band called Rustley Rock, and they used to play on the stage in the assembly hall at lunchtimes every now and then. And
Wow.
I was chatting to this friend of mine the other day he's same age as him. He was in the same year, and we've got a reunion for the Facebook group from Mount Roskill Grammar School, and someone was saying, "Does anyone remember Russell Rock's band playing, on stage?" And he says, "Oh yeah," he said, "we were there one day, and he didn't like reggae or something." Or Russell Crowe didn't like reggae, and they were all, Bob Marley forever sort of thing. And his mate dared him to throw something at him, so he threw his lunch at him, and he threw the sandwiches, hit Russell Crowe all over him, and then he got detention, and he had to write lines for doing it.
I
Which,
must not throw sandwiches at Russell Crowe.
yeah, got him right in the face, eh? It was brilliant.
Really? How did
Yeah.
you react?
Eh? Oh, my mate got in trouble for it. Yeah, but it's different time back there. I remember being in the quad one lunchtime, and there was this friend of mine, this girl. She was on the other side by the tuck shop, like gobbing off at me. And I had an apple, and so I lobbed this apple, and it went right up in the air over these trees, and it came down, and it flipping hit Miss Isgood, the teacher, in the head, and this apple just exploded, and I was just like, "Oh my god, the world's going to end." And this friend of mine, Mandy Calloway, was like, "It was Jonny Harper, he did it." And he came out she got me by the ear and she dragged me off, and I had to do rubbish duty after school, and which meant I had to carry a rubbish bin around picking rubbish up. But yeah, she saw the funny side of it and let me go early. But,
Lovely.
yeah, fun
It
day.
was fun in the 80s.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
you went to the same school as Russell Crowe.
yeah, yeah.
That's
And
so cool.
well, it's quite funny because I was over here in early 2000, and I was living in Bristol. And I back in the day before the internet, really, and I was writing mum and dad a letter, and with a pen and paper, the old-fashioned way. And I was writing this letter, and my mate was like, "Oh, you went to Roskill Grammar School, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, it's on TV." And I was like, "Hey," and I looked, and sure enough, there was this documentary on Russell Crowe, and I think it was called Russell Crowe and the Fights he had had, or something like that, because he was always in trouble fighting. And when I looked at the screen, there was our deputy school principal there, called Sid Seastrand, and he was talking about Russell Crowe, and I was like, "Oh my God, that guy caned me, you know." And I got 6 of the best with a massive cane, eh? It's like, yeah. Yeah, and sure enough, there was this documentary on Russell Crowe, and I was like, "Oh my God, how surreal!" Yeah, showed the old school and stuff like that. Yeah, it's quite funny.
Amazing.
Yeah,
So I'm now going to have my freshly baked sourdough that I baked this morning to your recipe.
I've got mine on the bench. My starter. Yeah, I'm just going to give it a feed, and then I'm going to make the dough, and I'll let it prove overnight in the fridge, and then I'll bake it tomorrow morning.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and then I'm out on a mission today to get some honey.
Oh yeah, we've got honey.
Oh, lucky you.
If you want any.
Yeah, no, I need to get some today. I need to get a few bits and pieces.
Okay, because I could jot some round.
No, it's fine.
I'm going past later.
As long as I've got enough, of which I have, for my toast tomorrow morning.
Yes.
As long as I can have my 2 slices of sourdough with nice salted butter and runny honey and a cup of really good coffee, I'm happy bunny, eh?
See, I've run out of butter.
I've
I have to go queue up somewhere and get some.
got plenty of butter and I've got plenty of coffee. In fact, some friends of mine supply coffee to your shop as well.
Yes.
Yeah, Ritual Coffee, and it's so good.
Yeah, it's good coffee.
Well, I met up with them the other day, and they gave me a carton of eggs and 2 1-kilogram bags of coffee.
Nice. See, I love this culture of trading and gifting.
So good, isn't it? So good. Well,
amazing.
They needed some gin. They'd run out of gin, so I swapped them some bottles of gin for some bags of coffee. You see,
it's like I hope that culture continues, the gifting culture. And the going out for walks in the evening culture. I really hope they continue.
Well, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will, and I hope people, really embrace it and look at all the positives this is bringing.
Yeah.
I mean, like carbon emissions and stuff like that, and the planet being able to breathe at long bloody last.
Yeah.
A friend of mine is a really good photographer. She lives in Venice. She's a Croatian girl, but she lives in Venice, and she posted a film the other day of dolphins swimming up through the canals in Venice.
That's fake.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, that was a shark. That was fake. No, that was.
I think the dolphins are fake as well.
Oh, better not be.
It is fake, but the canals in Venice are clean.
Yeah, very clean.
Without all those motorboats.
Yeah. Well, when we were there, it was hard to see.
Transport, isn't it? There.
Yeah, lovely and clean there now. But just everything. We were out for a walk the other day on Sunday. We went for a massive walk. It was nice, eh? And took a little picnic with us, and we ended up in the Bluebell Wood.
Nice.
Top of a hill.
Nice.
Down the road from us. And at one point, a plane flew over with a big vapor trail. I was like, oh my God, look, there's a plane.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Sandra said, 6 months ago, if you said that, we'd be like, what?
Yeah, like it's an occurrence now.
Yeah. On the news tonight, plane flies over Gloucester.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's been lovely talking to you, Johnny.
Claire, it's always a pleasure. And
we'll drop a link with your website if people want to buy any of your gin.
Yeah.
And when your non-alcoholic, what do you call it?
Distillate
Distillate comes out, I will be there buying it. In bulk.
Best to know. I
Yeah.
might be able to sort you out with a little taster one day in
Oh,
the
that'd be nice.
future. And it'd be really good because you can get something like it works with a Fever Tree Mediterranean tonic.
I love Fever Tree. Yeah.
So you can mix that. You can put a double shot of the distillate into a nice big glass.
Nice.
You can add the Mediterranean tonic. Nice slice of red grapefruit works well. Some
Nice.
rosemary or slice of apple in there as well work good.
Nice.
A nice slice of juicy peach would probably work good in there too.
Lovely.
Yeah, and it'll be a nice little treat, eh?
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Just something good because I think if you go out, you can get. There's a couple of non-alcoholic brands out there which do quite well.
Yeah.
Predominantly, it's like a lemonade or a Coke or a soda water or something. So it just
Yeah.
makes it a little bit special. You can have a good cocktail with it.
Yeah, I want to be selling non-alcoholic drinks for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think it should do quite well. Eh?
Yeah.
There's a lot of thought and a lot of planning gone into it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's going to
yeah,
be gourmet. Gourmet.
I hope so.
Distillate. That's a new word that I have to learn. Distillate.
Yeah,
Non-alcoholic distillate.
distillate from a distillery. If you think of that,
Oh,
right?
thanks, Johnny.
Really lovely chatting to you, and
Have a great morning.
thanks to everyone that sort of tuned in. And
Yeah, and lovely hearing about all the stuff that you make. It's awesome.
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I was looking for something else to make, so I'll
Yeah.
keep it. All right.
Talk to you soon, Johnny.
All right. Cheers, Claire.